And joining us live on the broadcast is Dr. Peter Kuznick. He's the Professor of History and Director of the Nuclear Studies Institute at American University. Thank you so much for joining us on the broadcast on WION World this morning. So let me begin by asking, what's your assessment of the situation that's developing in West Asia? And if the escalation continues at the same pace, what can we expect in the coming hours?
Israel has said that it's prepared to continue this for days and weeks. Iran is putting up as much resistance as it can. So there doesn't seem to be any short-term solution to this. Israel's capabilities vastly greater than Iran's capabilities right now. Iran's missile defense and their air force has been degraded, and Israel is bombing across the country. So what we're likely to see is more escalation and more killing. The question is, will this escalate into a broader regional war? Iran has said that since the United States is abetting, aiding, assisting Israel, that Iran will go after U.S. targets also. To my knowledge, it hasn't done so yet. Trump could be itching for a fight. Trump has been supporting Israel, even though Trump knew how close they were to a negotiated agreement. Trump had insisted that Iran give up its enrichment capabilities entirely, which Iran refused to do. As a signatory to the NPT, the Non-Proliferation Treaty, Iran has the right to enrich uranium. Under the original deal that Trump blew up in 2018, Iran was allowed to enrich to 3.67%. But after the U.S. under Trump blew up the original JCPOA, the Iran nuclear deal, Iran began enriching to higher percentages. And so the concern was that in a broader period of time, Iran could develop a nuclear bomb. But they were nowhere near. There's no evidence at all that they had plans to do so. In fact, the CIA reported that Iran had given up its nuclear weapons program in 2003, which makes this an act of naked, illegal aggression on Israel's part. There was no excuse for this. The negotiations were going on. This could have been resolved peacefully, but Israel saw an opportunity to decapitate Iranian leadership and to strike a serious blow against Iran, and Israel took it. We see what Israel's been doing to the Palestinians in Gaza, and so now Israel has bombed, Syria, Palestine, Iran, Lebanon, Kuwait. The Israeli leadership is out of control, and the international community is is alarmed, condemning this illegal aggression.
Right, Dr. Kuznick, and let's talk a little bit more about US's involvement. We heard from President Trump where he said that Israel had acted unilaterally, only to admit later that he was aware and they were not militarily involved. After that, we also saw Trump actually commending the attack. He has called it excellent, and later we also got to know that United States did in fact supply the Hellfire missiles. Now, in light of all of these situations and the escalation that has happened in the last 24 hours, do you think there's a real chance of Iran actually returning to the negotiating table for the 6th round of nuclear talks?
Sadly, in the short run, there is really no possibility that I see of Iran returning to the negotiating table. I think we had the capability of achieving a negotiated, diplomatic, peaceful resolution, but the Trump administration stuck to this red line that nobody else would support. And it made no sense that Iran would not be allowed to enrich to a limited amount to a low extent. Iran was open to returning to an agreement very similar to the original agreement, maybe with a longer period of time involved, but the United States understood that. Witkoff understood that. Trump understood that. You saw the statement that Tulsi Gabbard issued, that video 3 days ago, which she issued it from Hiroshima, but warned broadly about the imminence, the real danger we're facing of nuclear annihilation. This could easily escalate out of control. This could easily bring in other countries. Russia, for example, has got a very friendly relationship with Iran. We're hoping that the cooler heads prevail and that we sit down and resolve this now. It can't be resolved peacefully, obviously, because we're past that point, but at least we can keep it from escalating further. And Iran will only suffer great. Iran can inflict damage on Israel. We estimated before the attacks that Iran had about 3,000 ballistic missiles. So far, they've launched about 200 of them. They may no longer have that 3,000 because of Israeli operations back in October and more recently, but they still have an enormous capability to inflict harm on Israel. But Israel's capability is vast. They've already largely destroyed the nuclear plant at Natanz. They've attacked also at Isfahan and Fordow, but those have not been destroyed. The Fordow facility is a half-mile underground, buried deep into a mountain and hardened. The Israelis probably don't have the capability of destroying that. And so Iran is not defeated. Iran is not helpless, but their ability to fight off the Israeli assault is quite limited at this point. So as you're reporting, 9 top nuclear scientists have been executed. The military command has been eliminated. But Iran, the Iranians are proud people, and they'll resist as much as they can. So other people have got to intervene. It's very unfortunate, if not criminal, that Trump is encouraging the Israelis, not only cheerleading Israel, but helping shoot down the incoming missiles, and in fact, doing everything he can to egg Israel on, blaming Iran for Israel's illegal attack. So we're in a precarious moment now, because this could spiral out of control even further than it has.
Right, Dr. Kaznik, very valid points there. Of course, we'll have to wait and see how the situation develops going forward. But for now, thank you so much for joining us on the broadcast and sharing your perspective with us.
Thank you for having me.